show. I'm your host, the Catman, Brian Cataquet. Great to be here live on KCAA.com. And we have with us from the Dodgers front office team possibly the most knowledgeable person on the team's history, author and Dodgers team historian, Mark LANGILL. Mark, Brian Cataquet on KCAA Radio.
Brian, a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for being here. Mark, can you give the listeners a little bit about your background, about yourself? How did you become associated with the Dodgers and your responsibilities as a front office member of the Dodgers?
Sure, definitely. A lot of people get a kick out of the term team historian. They go, how the heck do you become a team historian? And I say, well, that's what you get when you don't hit the ball in a Little League. You become a team historian when you can't play the game. And actually, I grew up in Southern California, and I became a sports writer. And I covered the team for 6 years after attending college and joined the front office in 1994. And after a couple ownership changes, they decided, well, he seems to know all this stuff, and we send all these miscellaneous phone calls to him. And so in 2002, that's how the title Team Historian came about. So in addition to the publications and everything else relating to the PR aspect, I get the fun part because when you have a franchise that old, going back to 1890 as far as joining the National League, it could be literally something that happened yesterday. It could be something that happened over 100 years ago that we either research, discuss, or flesh out for either fans or family.
Right. The Dodgers have a tremendous history, with that team. Question that I always wondered. I've read in the past, I've heard in the past from sports experts that Duke Snider, early in his career, could have been better than Mays and Mantle. Early in during the 1950s, early in his career. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think the thing I always do, I'm 44 years old, and you can look at the stats and you can try to make a statistical argument, and I always defer to the players just to see how they felt about certain guys at certain points of time. One thing you have to remember with Duke, he had a real advantage playing at Ebbets Field and playing with a competitive team, so he had protection in that lineup. And we're just discussing today that move to Los Angeles, the very first game, Willie Mays was making fun of Duke because he poked his head out of the dugout that first day at the Coliseum, and he was yelling over to the Dodger dugout saying, hey, Duke, look what they did to you, look what they did to you. And what he meant was because of the odd dimensions at the stadium for the Coliseum, Duke suddenly had a 440-foot poke to the alley in right field. And so his days of hitting 40 home runs was going to be over just because of that ballpark.
Right. And I heard no one could, like 1954, 1955, he can cover so much ground out in center field, I heard. I've read Snyder.
Definitely, and being a vital cog, and see, he didn't have the knee troubles that Mantle did. Everybody talks about the injuries and things like that. Injuries really didn't start to bother Snyder until he got to Los Angeles, and so he was able to not only come up to the Dodgers at a very young age, but he had no high-profile health issues. His issue in Brooklyn sometimes would be his mouth, as far as he'd pop off as far as criticizing the fans, if they were booing, and that would get on him. Sometimes he'd have to apologize because he'd pop off to the press. There'd be screaming headlines the next day, and he learned. He said, "Hey, I was a hothead as a kid." And finally, when they won in '55, people could sort of relax. But in his early days, sometimes his temper got the best of him instead of injuries.
Wow. And how do you feel about Sandy Koufax? You think he was the best left-handed pitcher in the game?
I think so. I think when you look at that period, that dominating period from 1962 to 1966, Koufax was only in the majors 10 years, but look at the quality instead of quantity. Those years, the ERA titles, Cy Young Awards, 18 strikeouts, the perfect game, and things like that. I think in Los Angeles history, Kirk Gibson probably has the most famous moment in terms of that World Series home run in 1988. But I think Koufax, without question, would be the marquee player of the Los Angeles franchise, just because those that saw him play just said not only did he have the greatest fastball, he had the greatest curve. And from 61 to 66, who retires after a 27-win season? And Koufax did that. He walked away from the game at a young age because he still wanted to be able to have use of both arms.
Oh, I look at some of those videos. He was tremendous. He had a nasty curveball. Do you think the mound? I've heard that the mound in Los Angeles maybe gave him some, because I think the mound is higher on the field than other mounds in baseball. The ball can go, quicker, more straight. Because the mound is, I don't know. That's what I've heard. Is that true that the mound in Dodger Stadium is more higher up?
I think back then it very well might have been, and it might have favored them. And then when they went, after the year of the pitcher in 1968, when Bob Gibson of the Cardinals had a 1.12 ERA and Drysdale had the 6 straight shutouts, that's when they lowered the mound. But by that time, Koufax was already 3 years removed, so they didn't adjust the mound while Sandy was pitching. So he very well could have taken advantage of that. But remember, the other team has to pitch on that mound as well, and there were some great pitchers in the National League as well. And when you look back at history and you see the Dodgers were champions 1965, don't forget they only won the National League by 2 games over the Giants. And they had Juan Marichal. And so you look back and you say, wow, that was a dynasty. 63, 65, 66, they were in the World Series. But a lot of those were really, really tough pennant races. And so they had the benefit of lucking out and getting into the playoffs, and then they had success in the World Series. But there was great, great competition in the 1960s.
Oh, you ain't kidding. We're talking to Mark Langill, Dodgers team historian. Mark, I know you wrote a book. It's called Dodgers, Images of the Game, and I looked at the book, and you have a lot of different types of photographic images in the book. And, me being in the sports memorabilia industry, I have handled, tons of sports memorabilia, vintage photos. Some of those vintage photos in your book were very hard to obtain. Can you tell us the process of obtaining some of those photographs for your book?
Well, the neat thing was having team photographers taking tons and tons of photos. All of those photos in the book were Dodger team photos. And basically, let's say somebody went out and shot the game. Maybe there'd be 1 or 2 shots that they would use, and you would see that over and over and over. And the neat thing was to be able to collect outtakes and to be able to see shots that you wouldn't normally use maybe that day, or maybe somebody pictured wasn't famous that day, and then maybe 10 or 15 years later that person became famous. Or if it was just maybe a pitching staff shot, early 1970s, and you see in that bullpen there's Hoyt Wilhelm posing with Jim Brewer and Pete Mickelson and guys like that. It was just a way to be able to try to show fans photos that they hadn't seen before, because we've all seen so many of the iconic shots that you see over and over and over. And basically my theory was, let's go into the archives, let's look at these photos that haven't been seen, haven't been used, and just give people a different perspective. And so that's what I tried to do in terms of, I did 3 titles for the Arcadia Publishing. There was Dodger Stadium, there was Dodger Town, which is now apropos because that really is a history book since they've left that complex for Arizona. And then one called the Los Angeles Dodgers about the franchise. So using all those photos, basically the rule was try to give them something that they haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, you do have some very scarce photos in your books. So you've written 3 books again for Arcadia Publishing?
3 for Arcadia Publishing, 1 for Sports Publishing called Game of My Life. And that's not really photo-driven. That was more of the editorial. The neat thing about those Arcadia Publishing books, they give you about space for 210 photos over 128 pages. So you may want to tell all the stories in the world, but that type of format, it's really more visual, which is nice. You say what you have to say in maybe 2,000-word chapters, but then you can really let the pictures tell the story. So I spent a lot of time trying to choose the best photos to tell those stories of the various aspects of the Dodger history.
No, you did a good job with that. How do you feel about the Dodgers, about Manny Ramirez this year? I mean, I got a chance to play with Manny Ramirez during, when he was in Manhattan during his teenage years in the late 1980s. He was always a tremendous hitter. How do you feel about Manny Ramirez? You think the best right-handed hitter of all time?
Well, I think it's very exciting because you look at the team's history, and you have names like Koufax and Drysdale, Robinson, and these famous names where you can just say either their first or last name, and you know who they're talking about. And that's the case with Manny Ramirez. It's just Manny. And even if you're not a baseball fan, 2 years ago when he came here, he really captured the attention of not only baseball fans, but the Hollywood crowd and just sort of that they just picked up on his persona. And so there are many of the Sabre crowd, the purists, that look at him as a right-handed hitting machine, one of the greatest ever of our era. But then there's also the entertainment value. In the history of Dodger Stadium, we've never had an area named after a player. Dusty Baker was here. They unofficially called the pavilion Bakersfield. When Jimmy Wynn was here, they unofficially called it Cannon Country. You can go out to the stadium right now and look in left field, and that sign is there, Mannywood. He has a branded section. And so, regardless of the stats, Manny is a one-word person who really brings a lot of attention to the ball club, just not only because of his great numbers, but, that charisma that he also carries.
Oh, no, he's definitely a character. But I tell you, researching some of the great right-handed hitters like Joe DiMaggio, Jimmy Fox, Greenberg, I think Ramirez will go down in history as the most fearful right-handed hitter of all time. He can hit. I never seen anything like it.
I think the thing that people underestimate, when he hit that grand slam, that pinch hit grand slam on Manny Ramirez bobblehead night, a lot of people got a big kick out of the fact that, there's 55,000 Manny bobbleheads, and he just happened to, get off that bench that day and hit a grand slam. But when I looked at it, now he's suddenly just 2 grand slams away from one of the most amazing records in sports, and that's 23 grand slams by Lou Gehrig. Just
wow.
Imagine 21 grand slams. The pitcher knowing what a great hitter he is with the bases loaded, and Manny's still able to deliver in those situations. The 21 grand slams, that's really an incredible record when you think about it. And who knows, a couple swings this year, he could tie Gehrig's record. You would have thought that was an unbreakable record.
Oh, he always comes through in the big spots. He just comes through. The pitch is to throw a fastball right down there. He's just amazing with the bat. It's unbelievable. And what do you think of this year's season? You guys, your team almost made it.
Well, it's a wonderful roller coaster ride. Last month, it's very hard. Jerry West of the Lakers used to say when he was an executive that he had a very, very hard time watching the playoffs because of everything at stake. He would just drive his car around the Forum because he'd just be too nervous. He couldn't watch the game. And suddenly, that is the case. You can be about to have a playoff game, league championship series, and suddenly you realize there is so much at stake. And even though you're glad to be there, it can be so hard to watch because you suddenly dare to dream. You're only 1 game away, 2 games away from the next level. And it was really tough, that 4th game at Philadelphia when we had the lead and Jimmy Rollins came up with that big base hit, because who knows what happens if the league championship series comes back to Los Angeles for a Game 6. That's one of those things we'll never know. And even though it was disappointing, even though, we felt like we got kicked in the stomach and it was just heartbreaking, I think that's the reason that baseball is so great, because you just ride the emotion. 2 weeks ago, riding high, defeating the Cardinals in the playoffs, and then suddenly getting the rug pulled out from under us again by the Phillies. But that's the neat thing about sports. It's all unpredictable, and if you're going to take the good, you have to take the bad as well. But in the long run, it's always fun. And this was a very, very exciting season, and it makes you look forward to next year because we still have a core of great young players along with Manny coming back next year.
No, and I like to see Joe Torre, in a Dodger uniform. I think he belongs in the National League. I'm a New York City guy, and I like to see Torre in the Dodger uniform.
It's funny you say that, because when you see him in street clothes, it's not that impressive as far as certain people wear a certain uniform a certain way, and he just has that look as far as the perfect baseball manager look, as far as always in control. Just sort of setting a presence and a tone. And that's another record. We talked about the Manny Ramirez Grand Slams record. Look how many consecutive times Torre's been in the playoffs. You just take for granted now that a Joe Torre team will have success and get to the playoffs. And he's knocking on the door, ready to tie Bobby Cox's record next year, I believe, of 14 consecutive trips to the postseason.
Wow.
So along with the Manny Ramirez era, we've also enjoyed the Joe Torre era here at Los Angeles.
Yeah, you have 2 historical factors there. Any new projects for you, Mark, you want to mention?
Yeah, we're going to have we're going to have a branded Brooklyn Dodgers section at Dodger Stadium next year on the Loge level, which is very exciting. We have very different sections at the ballpark trying to appeal to different segments of fans. We have a bleacher beach. We have My Town, where we have different themes. And on that Loge level, on the right field section, we're going to have an area that's a tribute to Ebbets Field, and we're going to have Brooklyn Dodger artifacts and other things, so older fans will be able to remember the days of Brooklyn's Ebbets Field. It's been we played more games at Dodger Stadium now than we did at Ebbets Field, but you still have to look back and you still have to remember the roots of the franchise, and we're going to start saluting that with that special section next year in the Loge level, a special Brooklyn Dodger Ebbets Field area.
Oh, that's really great. You're going to have some Brooklyn Dodger cards and memorabilia?
Oh, I'm sure we will. Anything for you just have to try to think, and we're still in the planning stages, but I'm thinking maybe it would be neat to be able to bring back some of those Brooklyn Dodger program covers and maybe have those for different games and bring those back. And how neat would that be to see some of those beautiful, beautiful artwork that they did in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s for those covers, to be able to bring that back. That would be fun. And then we still, fortunately, have many of the Brooklyn Dodgers who still played, still with us, and locally, Don Newcomb, first guy that comes to mind. So for him to be able to not only tell stories at certain times, but then be able to have an autograph section where Brooklyn Dodger guys can come back. So it's neat. As you look forward to 2010, and 2 years from now, we'll have the 50th anniversary of Dodger Stadium. But we're still able to celebrate the glory and the memories that was Ebbets Field and the Brooklyn Dodger players.
Oh no, I think that would be fantastic, and also those old team pennants. If you can get a hold of those, I mean, I have many of those old team pennants hanging up.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They're gorgeous. Oh, they're gorgeous.
And to see all the different varieties, whether it's the bum or the caricature of Ebbets Field, or the bee, or even look back at 1937 when they wore Kelly green uniforms instead of that Dodger blue. Just anything, any excuse to look back. It's always fun, and to maybe tie it to the present as far as a guy wearing the same number or maybe a similar name. That's really the fun part, because it's still the same basic game, same team, and to be able to bridge generations. That's the fun part with the baseball history.
No, you're absolutely right, and I thank you for your time here, Mark. And again, if you want to mention any of your upcoming projects. Now, do you have a personal website of your own?
Not a personal website, but we do have an Inside the Dodgers blog on our Dodgers.com website. So I would just encourage all your listeners to be able to check out Dodgers.com, MLB.com, and especially if you're a baseball fan, check out the Baseball Network during the MLB Network during the off season, because some of these vintage shows just priceless to see, and it's a great time to be able to spend during the winter. We all wish it was still baseball season, but to see some of that nostalgia out there, MLB Network has been an early holiday present for a lot of us here.
Okay, well, no, I appreciate the time. I really do. Mark LANGILL from the Dodgers, thank you, and happy holidays to you.
You too, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself. And we spoke to Mark LANGILL, Dodgers team historian there, and, very knowledgeable person on the Dodgers team. And his book, Dodgers, Images of the Game, is actually, you can get it on Amazon.com. It's a beautiful book, a lot of scarce vintage photographs on the team's history. It's a great book to look at. The images are very striking, and a lot of scarce photos there. And let's switch over to some basketball card news. This report came out today out of CNBC.com, and it speaks about basketball star Buck Jennings. And apparently, he had a historic game last week, scoring 55 points against Golden State Warriors. And this report came out on CNBC.com today that his cards are actually selling through the roof. Beckett media publisher Tracy Hackler says that it's simply unheard of that Jennings, out of his 20 basketball cards issued, 13 of his basketball cards on Beckett Sports Cards Monthly top list. And, for me personally, I can name you, if you want to talk about hot basketball star rookie cards, I can name you Well, I can name you several that I would invest in. It's too early for me, in my opinion, to tell if that's a good investment, the Buck Jennings rookie card. I usually like to wait 2 to 4 years to invest in a rookie card. But, I mean, if you want to talk about basketball rookie cards, that's good to invest in. How about the LeBron James rookie card? I mean, 2003 top pristine gold refractor LeBron James. That's a very, very tough rookie card. If you want to talk about basketball rookie cards to invest in. If you can find that card can sell for about $5,000 to $6,000. That's how tough it is. Good card to invest in. How about the Derrick Rose All-American rookie card autograph issued by McDonald's? That's another tough rookie basketball card to invest in. And another card that I would actually invest in, Derrick Rose McDonald's All-American rookie card autograph. And another card to invest in would be the Dwayne Wade game-worn jersey rookie card by Fleer. That's another tough card to invest in. Another good card to invest in. How about the Blake Griffin 2009 Prestige autograph rookie card? Only 100 of those made. That's another good card to invest in. So if you want to talk about good, hot rookie cards, in basketball to invest in, I'm giving you a few. How about Dwight Howard 2004, 2005 Topps Chrome rookie card of Dwight Howard? It's another tough card. I mean, I could go on and on. Stephen Curry, 2009 rookie card, another tough card. 2009, 2010 Stephen Curry rookie card, good to invest in. And I love LeBron James as an investment. I love LeBron James. I love his cards. Great to invest in. Great player. Of course, Michael Jordan's rookie card always sells through the roof. 86, 87 Fleer Jordan, tough card. His 84, 85 star issue Jordan rookie card is another one that's good to invest in. So those are just a few other hot rookie cards, in my opinion, that are good to invest in. Other news, if you heard the show last week, I mentioned that Bernie Madoff New York Mets personal jacket. In last week's show, the current bid was $750. It was up for auction. That jacket sold for $14,500. Can you believe it? The Bernie Madoff New York Mets personal jacket. Now that jacket, if you look at it on the web, it has Madoff on the back of the jacket. I mean, I hope the bidder wasn't from New York City, like I mentioned last week. You better go buy a football helmet to wear with that jacket. It'll get what Bernie Madoff did to this country. The winner of that jacket will probably get clobbered over the head with it wearing a jacket in the streets of New York. I hope it wasn't a New York winner. And I tell you, he was a sports collector too, Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff, he had 50 sports lots up for auction. Can you believe it? A sports collector, Bernie Madoff? And, his auction was conducted by Gaston and Sheehan Auctioneers. And they had a viewing at the Sheraton Hotel in New York City sometime last week before the auction on all of his merchandise. And, he had some good pieces, Bernie Madoff. He had some hockey signed memorabilia, Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky signed game-used sticks. I mean, he had some Penguins memorabilia, Bernie Madoff. But, I mean, I can't believe someone paid $14,500 for that Bernie Madoff Met jacket. I was shocked when I saw the price of that. It was $750 last week. It actually sold for that much, over $14,000. Unbelievable. Other news, Topps, the number one maker of sports cards, teams with a company out of California called GetFugu, GetFugu. And GetFugu is a technology, it's a mobile phone technology company based in California. So the Topps company got together with this company, GetFugu, and amazing what Topps is doing with this technology. I mean, soon collectors will be able to use their mobile phone to type in any information on a specific card that, they're interested in, and it will send them directly to the places on the Internet using this feature with GetFugu. I mean, Topps has been very, very innovative and creative with all their, over the recent year. Earlier this year, Topps released these 3D baseball cards that's really one of a kind. They had these 3D images. So, I mean, Topps is really, it's hard to compete with Topps. I mean, they're so innovative. I mean, they've got the market, in my opinion, they've got the market cornered. You have the other companies, but, this Topps has been around, like I've mentioned before on the show, since 1948. I mean, it's very hard to compete with them. They are the number one leader, number one brand in, sports cards, sports card marketing, and they're just unbelievable. And my website is BrianCataquet.com. Also, you can catch me BCBauctions.com, BrianCataquet.com, BCBauctions.com will get you to my site. If you want to put a face to a voice, go on to YouTube.com/BCatman, YouTube.com/BCatman. It will get you to my web page. We'll get you to my face. You can see my buying commercials. If you have a baseball club memorabilia collection to sell, like we were talking about, vintage photographs, I'll be your Santa Claus this year. Send me an email. I'll come with cash. I'll get my reindeers. I'll fly over to, we'll fly over to California, and I'll purchase all your baseball card collections if it's prior to 1975. If you have baseball cards collections, you have Dodger material, memorabilia collections, you have vintage photographs related to baseball or sports, call the Card King, call the Catman. You can email me. You can log on to my website, bcbauctions.com, BrianCataquet.com. You can go to, you can also, KCAAradio.com, hit Friday's schedule. You'll see my face there on the 2 p.m. slot. You can click on that. That'll get to my website. So if you have anyone out there listening to the program, you ever see my baseball card commercials? The Card King is buying heavily, aggressively, when it comes to sports memorabilia. The show has come to an end. We'll see you next week. Card King signing off. Happy collecting to all.